Chair Pazzi, Selectmen's Rep.
Brady Vanel, School Board Rep.
Donald Miller.
Mark Rasco. We have a quorum. That's okay. We don't have to approve the meetings from last year because I don't know where they are to begin with. But anyway, they don't need approval. I don't vote unless it's a tie, okay? And people in the audience, when they come to the table, you can sit in the hot seat in front of us.
Yeah, I see that. Department hot seat,
Give
that's
us
perfect.
your name so we know who we're talking to. Okay? So without further ado, I guess we can start. The first one is going to be the town clerk. Margie, if you would.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Who I am. Let me get to my budget here. Really, the only change in my budget this year increases the wages, 3%. All my numbers are hard numbers. I've got all the estimates from my software companies, both for taxes and for motor vehicles. And our pretty much our support's about staying about the same. Our supplies, let's see, what am I supposed to start with? It's on page 7 and 8. I'll get to that, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, so the conference meetings and all that stuff I got ahead of time, mileage and all that stuff is pretty basic. It's just a year-to-year thing. The office expenses are basically our support and cartridges for our printers and things like that that we use on a daily basis, office supplies, checks, and let's see, when we go down a little further here, paper and stuff like that, toner, all that, just all that is basic. My preservation is, I kept it at what I had last year, which was $4,000, because the books are approximately $1,000 a book. Plus, they give you a CD as well. Yes,
Yeah, I've got a question on that. Mark.
Yeah.
How many more do you need?
How about the entire safe has to be done?
Oh, wow.
I'll show you.
So we're gonna be doing that for
We have a
2 years,
schedule.
right?
We have a schedule with profile,
Just curious.
and we take the ones that are the worst, you know, that are all doggy and stuff, and get those preserved first.
Okay.
And they come in I think I showed you last year, though. Very
Nice
nice, they do a very nice job. And that's really about it. I'm probably the easiest one, gonna be the easiest one. I don't know if anybody has any questions, or.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the increase from
3%.
last year of same?
Yes, 3%, just the wages.
But the year before is what I was gonna ask.
I don't remember, I think it was 1.5, was it?
2.25.
Yeah.
2.25.
And then the question I had was this 120% increase, this is staff development, what is this concerning?
Clerk.
Yeah, it's both, $390. Why did I put that? I haven't got my other thing here. It's the explanation, you see, it's the spring, it's because I've been sending my deputy to get certified, and that's like $400 or $500 a year. Plus the fact, just the conventions have gone up a little bit. They're right over on the side.
Okay.
Over here.
Okay.
Look here.
Yes, I see it. Spring
Okay,
meeting, got it.
yeah, no, it explains everything right there.
Got it. Clerk's convention.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to
okay.
go every year at least to one convention or one a meeting, because that's where the crux of all our stuff. When we go to the town clerk's one, like they have it at the Red Jacket usually. I mean, every department's there, motor vehicles, vital records, all the election people, and the way the elections have been going with the changes, there's even more training for our supervisors. We've really got to stay on top of stuff, so.
So having your deputy certified is going to be a benefit for
Well,
the town.
it's a lot of more than the actual physical stuff that we do every day. It's how to deal with a difficult situation. You got somebody who comes in and starts giving you an awful hard time. How do you quell that? It's to speak to the public. How do you get out and speak publicly? I mean, it's a series of stuff. I can show you the agenda.
No, I think
We're
it's,
glad
I, currently you're the only person.
Yeah, I am not, never did it,
Okay.
but Amy asked me if I could do it, so I put it in my budget.
I see, okay.
And she's going into her third year this year,
Okay.
so it'll be one more year after that, and then it's done.
So Amy is
Yeah, it's my
certified.
deputy, she
Okay.
will be,
Okay.
she will be.
Perfect.
What is that, somebody who becomes now certified, does that now increase salary? Does that?
No, nothing. Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's just
saying-
more knowledge, Jamie, it's
Right.
more, it isn't, it's dealing with situations, because I gotta tell you, we have some tough days some days in there. Dealing with public, and so it helps you to stay, it teaches you how to answer them, not to infuse the situation and make it worse. And it isn't just that, it's public speaking, it's a lot of things. It's a lot.
No, I agree. I think we need that.
Just one question, I was curious why the $1 million motor vehicle registrations, why you think you're gonna get $1 million in motor vehicle revenue?
We do,
Well,
over
last,
$1 million.
well, you had, it was 830,000 this year.
No, the 830 is as of that date.
As of that date,
Right.
not,
10/24.
it's almost $1 million now.
9.5 months.
That's,
We're on a calendar year, not a fiscal year.
Okay.
So we will end December 31st with just over $1 million in motor vehicle registrations.
right,
And in 15, it was 979,000.
Correct, yep.
yeah, it's pretty close to it, because that's just motor vehicles, that isn't, all the vital records and all the other stuff, and the dog licenses, dumps, all that stuff, it's included.
Okay,
Yeah, that 831 is actually as of October 24th.
so it's a good projection then.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
very
Oh,
good
yeah.
projection.
Yeah, what we usually do, Karen and I put our heads together and figure, I go in and look and see how many, because we send out letters, as you all know, every month, and we go in and get an estimate, I give her a rough estimate, to
Right.
figure out what we're gonna have for money, but we've got over 12 million in taxes, real estate taxes. I just sent in stuff to the Department of Revenue today, just to send our warrant, copies of our warrant and all that sort of stuff. And right now, I've collected so far, and I'm waiting for some big ones from some of these big mortgage companies, and tomorrow's probably gonna be the day. We've, out of the 6 million for this half, a little over 6 million, we've collected all but about 900,000, which I expect tomorrow I'm gonna get, because we get $1 million in a day, it's not a problem.
Great.
I mean, Monday we had 1,200,000, something like that.
Thanks, Mark.
Bob, you have questions?
You have a question, Mark?
Yeah, if you go back for the last 3 years, under those two lines, staff development, town clerk, and tax collector,
Mm-hmm.
we've underspent the budget all 3 years. Last year, those two lines budget was about $2,500. This year, it's over $4,000.
Where are you looking? Under office
On
expenses?
page 8,
That's because we included the support for our programs. Here it says clerk work support, $2,134. That's included now under that. We didn't break it out before. We included it with the town. Now we put it into, under my category.
okay, so what I'm looking for is convince me that you need $1,500 more for those lines 41, 41, 14, and 41, 15.
I don't have the same thing with them. I don't think.
It's staff development, town clerk, and staff development tax.
Right.
Yeah,
So last year's budget was $2,500 roughly, and it was underspent.
okay.
This year, we're asking
I couldn't
for-
go last year, that's why.
Okay,
I
so
was unable
is
to
there a
go.
1,500, are we gonna legitimately have $1,500 more we're gonna spend in those two lines for this year than we did last year?
Yes. I wouldn't have put it in, because I get my letters from my software company and from the associations, from the Clerks Association and the Tax Collectors Association, and they give me an estimate of what it's gonna cost, because they book the hotels, and it's a 3-day thing, it's a 3-day conference. I couldn't go last year.
And how much is it for you to go?
It's about $600. for 4 days. That includes everything, meals and everything.
So if we had $600 and we add that you're sending your clerk or your deputy this year as well, is that correct?
That's for a separate thing, that's in August, that has nothing to do with coming to the conference, because one of us has to stay.
But
for
it would
time,
go
so-
on the budget though?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, absolutely,
okay,
absolutely, yeah.
I just, for the tax office supplies, was there an increase in the software this year? Is that what the,
Patty, which line? are you-
I'm sorry, the tax office supplies, 113, it just, it went up about,
Okay, I did this so
about
long ago, and I gotta go back. and look.
$1,500. I was just wondering if the software increased.
Well, let's see here. Our toner for our printers are really like over $600.
Okay.
They're really expensive, and we usually use 2 each a year, so, and that's even a little bit under.
Yeah, and actually, I just noticed that you've
Yeah,
spent a little bit more than was budgeted
Yes,
last year,
I
so,
did, I
yeah,
did.
and we're not to the end of the year yet.
right,
So that-
exactly.
okay.
You see,
Yep.
see, it says beside there, Amaze, that's the name of my tax program.
Okay,
And that's the support, and they went up, I don't know, $50 or $100
okay,
this year on both programs.
thank you.
Excuse me, for those in the audience, you can follow the screen. It tells you what we're talking about, so
There's also a couple extra budgets I think.
somebody wants to look at it.
Any more
Are there any other questions? by
Well,
anybody?
on that same line, 414272 on page 7, office expenses.
Okay,
On the bottom.
office expenses, yeah.
So, the budget in 2017 is 4304, and, which is the same you're asking for this year.
Mhm.
And so far through 10/24/17, we spent 940. Is the rest of that, all the rest of that money gonna be spent?
It may not be. If it doesn't, it goes back into the general fund.
Okay, well, how much of it may not be?
I have no idea.
Okay, well then how do we know what we wanna put for that line to budget? How do we know the answer to
Let's
that?
see here. Let me see. See, a lot of this stuff is envelopes, and I'm looking at checks and cartridges for our printers. That's estimated, because if they bite the dust, then we need them. We go through them pretty quickly. Also, our envelopes, we got the self-sealing envelopes, because it just makes it much easier. I have over almost 2,000 tax bills to send out, so if I have to lick every single one, I have somebody licking them, it's not fun.
Well, Marge, isn't your clerk works, that 2,000 is paid at the year end?
Yeah, yes.
Right, so that's why it's showing unexpended as
Yeah,
of so far.
that's true too, our software, our support, we don't pay that until like the very end of the year, Mark, that's the other part of it, you're correct, Karen.
Right, Amaze has been paid, but Clerk Works
Of course,
is
it's
not.
not, that's a 21 under office expenses.
Yeah.
It says clerk work support, that's my motor vehicle program, under 14272 on page 8, the very second
Right,
underneath
Right.
expenses.
and the audit has been completed for motor vehicles, so the $65 for missing plate sticker is not gonna be spent,
Not gonna be spent.
because the
Correct.
audit was clean.
Right, yeah, everything was fine.
Well, okay, so in 2015, that line office expenses was 1901. In 2016, it was 955. What happened changed it from that much to make it be 4304 now?
Because it's probably when we got the billing on the support for the program, for the motor vehicle program, we may have paid it earlier than, we haven't paid it yet this year.
I think also, Marge, in office expenses, we've kept a amount available to replace your state printer if it dies,
too.
but it hasn't died.
It hasn't died, so we're
That's the,
anticipating
just in
if it
case
does,
that printer goes.
we'll be in trouble if it goes. And they're about at least $600, $700. That's what I have for an estimate, and I really don't know where we would get one, because the state doesn't know.
Let me ask this kind of annoying question. I know the printer ink is super expensive and gotta do what you gotta do, but is there any of this stuff we can, like, maybe not print? Is there anything that we print now that, like,
So all we use it for is registration.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all we can use it for, because it's special ink and everything. That's why the toner is so expensive.
Yeah.
Someday it'll be electronic.
Excuse me, Randy?
Someday it'll be electronic on our phone.
I know.
Yeah.
We're trying now. We got barcodes. We just got barcode readers, so when you come in with your registration, I can go like this, and it'll pop right up on the screen.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Marge.
Okay. You're welcome. If you have anything else, just call me.
Oh, we know where to find you.
I kind of think you do.
Tara, front and center, please.
Yes, sir. As you wish.
Oh, thank you.
She brings it home.
Well, it has a little bit more explanation than the other one does. There's a couple of these for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring it up.
It was around. You're always last.
Of course.
I try to do kind of the same format each year, just because I know that in the Excel spreadsheet that kind of has all our budgets, it doesn't have a lot of room for explanation. So I like to provide as much explanation as I can. So if you'll go to page 3, that's a quick rundown of the amounts in the budget that are also reflected in your books. It's a quick rundown, and it compares it to 16, 17, and then obviously what I'm proposing for 18.
Yep.
Also, further back, I have a 10-year comparison, so you can see each line item, what they've gone to and from. But what really comes to light is what's under each of these line items. And so that's what 4 through 7 explains. What things are contained under each of these line items, and so why are they those amounts? I do have a couple of changes to the budget that was submitted to the Board of Selectmen, and I've had discussions with them about those changes. One of them is under the telephone line item on page 4, that I'm asking for an increase on that to go up to from $9,000 to $11,388. The reason for that is we at the police department have 3 phone lines, regular old-fashioned POTS landlines that come into the station, and then 1 fax line. And we've been operating like that for a long time. If you call the police station and no one answers after 5 rings, it rolls over to Rockingham Dispatch. So, of course, if you call 911, it goes a different way. But if you're calling into the police station, and that's. Our problem has been, or I guess the old-fashioned way has been, that if a 4th person is calling while 3 people are on the phone, or someone else is calling, they get a busy signal. Drives me insane. You should never get a busy signal at the police department. So Comcast has been doing this with small businesses for a long time, and the town hall actually switched over last month to, it's obviously it's a voice over IP. So you have the same lines coming in, but off of those, there's an endless number of numbers that are assigned to it. So you would never get a busy signal. If 3 people were in and 3 people were on the phone, it would roll over to Rockingham, but you would never get a busy signal. Furthermore, then there would be direct line numbers and extensions and things like that we do not have now. So I feel like we're a little bit in the dark ages in that respect. So it would be an increase in the bill, and that's what's reflected in the $11,388 instead of the $9,000.
So basically,
Okay,
the
so
bill
this
would
is
be
a-
$2,388.
Yes.
Is that a one-time, or would that be annually?
No, that's annual. That's the monthly increase in fee times 12 months, so that will be continuous. The other increase is on page 5 under building maintenance. Each year we do preventative maintenance on a lot of the equipment. The generator is one that we do a major preventative maintenance and a minor, exactly what they recommend. And this year, after our major one, it was recommended that next year, being 2018, we replace a battery in addition to the regular one. So the $140 is the cost of the battery that's going to be added 2018 at the annual major preventative maintenance. So that brings it from $9,050 to $91,90.
Tara, what about this clothing allowance?
What about
New officer,
Yep.
how much is that vest?
The vest is $900 alone. So in case everyone doesn't know, the lieutenant has put in her notice to retire. She has been a police officer for over 26 years.
Yep.
She's wonderful. She's getting out of law enforcement, and I'm really happy for her. So that's coming up. She doesn't have a hard date, but probably within the next month or I'd say 2 weeks, even stretching it. So we will be losing her, which means people get promoted and then we bring in a new officer. So there will be a new officer coming in. We haven't advertised yet, obviously, because she doesn't have a date yet. But so we will be outfitting a new officer. So $900 for the vest. You're usually looking at least $3,000 with the winter gear, the boots, from head to toe, stuff like that. So it used to be $3,000, and obviously it was that way for years and years, probably 15, 20. So we have increased it to $4,000. And, knock on wood, hopefully we don't have a lot of turnover. Hopefully this is just, our one-time thing. So that's why that's that way. The other items haven't increased anything significant from last year, other than the 3% raise for personnel. So you'll see that both in regular wages and part-time wages. That is broken down specifically just by personnel on page 8. If you wanted to look at that. We have 8 full-time sworn officers. The admin position, which, again, if you're not aware, the secretary retired on October 27th. So we're really happy for her as well. And we've done some interviews where we're pretty sure we've got the person coming in, but she hasn't started yet. So we have to do a really lengthy background investigation and psychological exam and those things. So she'll be full-time. And then the part-time officers, they have specific shifts that are designated for those that regular patrol officers cannot take for overtime. So that's that bottom number for the 32,498. And the part-time officers are listed.
Can I just ask a question about the part-time? Just curious.
Yes.
How does that get paid out? Just because of, this point this year, it's a much less.
It is. It's much less.
I just wanted to kind of understand that.
Well, usually, the way it's supposed to work ideally is there's 16 hours a week, 2 shifts per week that are set for them to cover. They're usually the second officer for evenings when it's really busy. This year we did add the 8th officer early in the year, and unfortunately we had some part-time issues with health. One person had to take a leave of absence, so we had to go down on, I'd say for probably 7 months out of the year to single coverage. So we were kind of struggling there for a little bit. The person who was out and then the other person that was on leave are now back. So I'm expecting that to be the regular amount from now on.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
The salary here for the secretary shows $42,640.
Yes,
She's leaving when?
she left.
She left.
October 27th. I'm surprised you didn't notice.
Bye, Carol.
Come on.
No, only kidding. Are you gonna keep the salary for the new person coming in at this rate, or?
Actually, to be honest, Carol made more than this.
Yeah.
But it was kind of permanent part-time. She had benefits, but not medical benefits. So I was able to lower it a little bit. So it's not getting 3% raise, it's actually going down.
She's gonna get, or he's gonna get the bennies that the
Yes.
rest of them get.
Yes.
The insurance and all that.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm, assuming that this background goes well, I'm getting somebody who has prior police
Prior
experience. And we have specific software, obviously, and they have to be trained in SPOTS, which is the state police running a license and that stuff. They have to be trained and certified in that. She already is. So it would be a really good grab if it turns out the way I want it to.
Have you ever run or thought about like, if you took the wages, the overtime wages amount was 60,000, and then the part-time wages amount, here.
Yep.
Have you ever, like, run the numbers of hiring, like, another part-time person versus the overtime?
Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, we run it more than once a year. If you look at the overtime breakdown, that's on page 9 and 10. So what I did when I first came was broke down where our overtime is. And it is, we can break it right down to hours. And then what we do is we fill it as, we can go all the way down to one man coverage. We don't like to on certain times, but we do. So we only cover the overtime, this amount, at 32%. Before, when it was only 7 officers, we covered it at 40%. So if you play with the numbers on adding part-timers, as well as, putting it all together and adding another full-timer, this still comes out way more advantageous. I know the overtime number seems large, but when you look at the figures of all the extra stuff that we're required to do by law, it really comes out. And you figure in everybody's got vacation time, everybody gets sick, it's those types of things. But again, we work every year on trying to get that percentage down as much as we can. We weren't able to this year because the part-timers being out, so we couldn't kind of use that to our advantage. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's been a constant struggle of ours. It did go down, obviously, with the new officer, but 8% isn't, you know what I mean? You would like it to be a lot more. But yeah, I could come up with figures because we do it a couple times a year if you guys would like to see that, but it's significant. The difference.
Well, I didn't want you to do extra work. I just, if you already did it.
Oh yeah, we do it all the time just because overtime is such a big part of it. And quite frankly, with 8 people, it ends up being mandatory overtime. Everybody looks extra money, but when there's only 8 people, you're coming when you don't want to. So we do play with that a lot. The last, on page 11 is the 10-year comparison. I think it just gives you a good historical look. I look at that, quite often. My first budget obviously was fiscal year 13 when I came in, but I like to look at that and just make sure that we're grounded and we can work down as much as we can. On this 10-year comparison, I also included the grants kind of separately at the bottom because it's revenue neutral. So it's not really that budget number that, should be taken into consideration. And the last page is just capital, I'm sorry, there's 2 more pages. Capital improvement and then the revenues from details are the last 2 pages. Capital improvement is what we've done so far and where we're going. The special details so far this year, I ran it till I ran the report today, which took through payroll on Sunday into payroll. So for the town, it has benefited $9,712 on details without the cruiser. The cruiser goes into a special revolving account to buy new cruisers and other equipment stuff that's needed for the details. So the cruiser profit so far to date is $28,343. So we kind of loosely keep track of that as well. To be honest, the $9,700 that goes toward my admin that has to process those bills and Liz who has to process the bills over here. So it just gives back a little bit. There's a lot in my budget, and I understand I'm probably the biggest part of the town budget. So I didn't need to go over anything. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I just got a question about the phone system.
Yeah.
The only reason why you chose Comcast is because you currently have an account with Comcast. Did you happen to look at any other outside providers?
I did not. What happened was the town hall did it, and it was so snazzy, and the guy lives in town, and so I said, can you come by and just tell me what we could do here, what the difference is? Yeah. And because the town had already done it, we got a super reduced price, if you can believe that, as far as for installation, the per month, the phone rentals, because they own the phones instead of us having to buy them, which is great, because until I started, I had no idea that a phone on a desk, it was like $500 to buy one. You don't just plug it into the wall anymore. So no, I didn't go out to bid just because we were getting such a deal as a bundle with them.
Now, do most police departments around here have voice over IP on their phone systems? The only reason why I ask is, I know it's been unreliable, it can be unreliable.
Can be unreliable, yes. More are going to it. The ones with the POT systems are usually, as far as the ones that I know, have a huge bank. And so what they're doing is they're paying for that huge bank to make sure that there's not a busy signal.
Right.
So when maybe a year into my tenure here, I said, geez, we need a couple more lines. It was astronomical.
Yeah, it's big.
We had to pay like construction fees to get more. I mean, it was kind of weird. So I think this is our only option as far as with technology.
Right.
I did ask him about the reliability.
Yeah.
And with our generator, he felt like we wouldn't have any more downtime than we would with regular full line.
Are you gonna keep your landlines? I mean, your hardwired lines?
Yeah, we're gonna leave them there. The phone numbers aren't gonna change.
Yeah.
We get to have those. We're gonna do a fax to email because we'd like to come into the 21st century.
Yeah.
So all that stuff can remain in place and they just come in and add,
Yeah.
whatever they're gonna add.
Now, do you know if it's a dedicated, voice? The only reason why I ask is a lot of times these guys share, split, pair.
Right, it's
You know?
dedicated,
Yeah.
with just a certain number of seats allowed.
Okay.
We switched over to it about 6 months ago now. And as far as reliability, I think we've been down once or twice when it's been, and we generally will turn the TV on in the town clerk's office and Comcast is down. We're like, yep, the whole thing is down.
Yeah.
But it has never been for a lengthy period of time.
But yeah, as long as you still have the landlines,
Right.
I mean,
And for us, we didn't keep all the landlines.
Right.
We were with Bay-Ring, so we kept 2 landlines that are very inexpensive. One that is dedicated for a fax machine, and one that's dedicated to a fax and our security system. Because if Comcast is down, we still want our security system active. So we have one dedicated line just for the security.
All right.
And we were previously Comcast anyway on the hard lines, so they're staying.
And this is obviously unlimited minutes, right?
It's
yeah.
unlimited minutes, and the biggest advantage to us is for the town office, we had 2 lines coming in.
Yep.
And one would track to the other with 5 people working in the office. There were oftentimes one of us would be like, oh, I need to make a call. And everything is taken, and you walk around to see who's on the phone and
Yeah.
So you could get a free phone line.
Right.
And we would get complaints that people kept trying to call the town office, but kept getting a busy signal. This way, nobody gets a busy signal. We can all make an outgoing call from our phone all at the same time. It's a little bit more expensive than we were paying, but the efficiency is unbelievable. Our voicemails now, go right to the phone. I went over to supper at Country View and I got, a voicemail from my phone from a resident from Boxwood that I was able to take care of that. That efficiency is wonderful.
And another silly question, can't imagine, international calls you get, so if you've taken a look at the packages in terms of, whether or not this includes international?
Oh, it's a flat rate.
Okay.
The line was a flat rate.
Okay.
So that really didn't matter. And we were on an old Centrex phone system.
Right.
Which was ready to be replaced. It's not serviced anymore. So for us, it was a no-brainer because we got all the phones for free. And we're like, okay,
Right.
thank you very much.
Yeah, well, so,
Any other questions?
I have 7.
I'll give it 2.
Do we anticipate a significant amount of additional miles put on to police vehicles this year?
How do you know?
Right, we usually put on approximately.
Well, I'll tell you one of the
Okay.
reasons I asked the question. I don't know in 15 what we figured for gas pricing,
Right,
but we spent $14,000 15, according
Yep.
to the book.
Yep.
We spent 96, 45, and 16.
Yep.
So far, as of October, whatever it is.
Yep.
We've spent 8208.
Yes.
So unless we're anticipating more mileage, I don't know why we should budget at least $2,000 more.
Here's the thing with the gas prices. So the state buys a huge bulk at a time. Obviously, they put it out to bid so that they can get the lowest rate. Forever, we just followed whatever that was. Starting 2 years ago, they bought it much higher than what it was at the pumps. They made an error in when it was, or the fluctuation.
And they locked it in.
Yeah, so they locked in at $2.67 a gallon when we were paying like $1.90. So a lot of places switched to a different system, one that we switched to, which is called a WEX card, which is a company that is accepted at most gas stations, including Cumberland Farms here in town, where you pay the price that's on the sign that day minus the excise taxes. So that's usually around 40 cents a gallon. So we did that, not knowing, of course, where gas would go. So many people did that the state, obviously, this large amount that they bought lasted more than 2 years when they were trying to buy like 9 months worth. And because so many people weren't going anymore, they took out the gas station, the state gas pump area in Northampton, which is where we went. So I actually talked to them today. It's out to bid right now. The 267 is finally all taken up. So it's out to bid right now. Probably won't get an answer until probably the beginning of January, maybe the end of December. But even at that price, we would have to drive now to Hampton to get it. So it's a balance of where is gas going based on obviously so many things going on in the world. Where does the state lock in at that price? And then where do we think it would be more advantageous? Will it be here at Cumberland Farms with that deduction, or will it be worth driving to Hampton to get the gas? So I continue to call throughout the budget process. So my next call will be at the end of December when they told me that they might know more. And we can adjust the numbers then. But until then, I take the number of gallons on average that we use per month, which is about 500 gallons per month. And then we multiply that times the state rate, which the last rate was 267. So that's where we got the number. I don't feel comfortable cutting it just because it's not something we waste. It's something that if we had to suddenly cut back on gas, what will we do? Not patrol the neighborhoods, not do as much driving around for visibility. I think that's way too important. But I have no problem with following the gas prices and adjusting it for that.
Okay, along those lines,
Mm-hmm.
This shows that so far, at least to October, we've not changed any tires.
The bill, we
Yeah,
just did.
The bill just got in.
Do we know what that is offhand?
No, it's probably 2,000 something. And we have much more than that. For the tires, every year we go through one mechanic that we use. We ask what we need for regular tires, for snow tires, and then obviously we always put a contingency for flat because we have all-wheel drive cruisers. So you don't fix one flat, you change 2, sometimes 4. We do that, and then we try and use them as long as we possibly can with them being safe and with the type of driving we do. This year, I just had them order the snows, obviously, and that's the bill that just came in. But on top of that, I cut back on buying, I went a little bit further on the mileage because we have a very large expense that I have to find other places in the budget. So I stopped spending, I cut training, and I cut these things because I have to expend $12,000 before the end of the year. So the other line items, obviously, I cut completely once I found out I had this expense.
Okay.
Does that answer your question on that?
So my next question is,
Yep.
if you could speak about initial clothing allowance.
Right, that's for new people.
And how many new people do we have?
in 2018, I know of one, hopefully, knock on wood, but
And how much does it cost to outfit one new person?
it depends. From top to bottom, you're probably looking at about $3,300.
Yeah.
$900 vest. We have 3 sets of uniforms, long sleeve, short sleeve. The hat, the raincoats, winter coats,
Yeah, we just went through that.
boots.
Well, I guess my question would be, there's a $4,000 request in that line.
Yes.
And according to my books, just going back to 15,
Yep.
we spent $60 in 15.
Yep.
We spent $842 in 16. So far this year, we spent $1,564.
Right.
So $4,000 seems like a lot compared to what our history
We
has
are
been in the
getting
last
a
few
We're getting a
years.
person.
One new person.
At least one person. Here's the thing, I always leave the $4,000, or it was $3,000 in there, or $4,000 in there, because you never know when someone's gonna leave. The amounts in 15, 16, whatever those were, I'm allowed to put it under the new equipment if it's a piece of equipment that no one got originally. So those small amounts went to that. This last year, we hired somebody new. I was able to keep it at 1,500 because one, we haven't ordered, or we just ordered his vest, so that amount isn't in yet. But secondly, he was about the same size of someone that had left. So we do try and be as fiscally responsible as we can. And if there are shirts in good shape or pants that fit or belts, the leather stuff that we have to have, holsters and things like that, very expensive. So we do try and reuse them as much as possible.
Okay. Again, going back to just my same thing, under cruiser repair.
Yep.
So this year so far, it's been $66.93.
Right.
The year before that, a little over 5,000, 5,500.
Right.
Is there something special going on that we're gonna be $2,500 to $3,000 over what we spent in 15 and 16?
Just the fact that we have gone finally, actually, I think we have one car left, but the rest of them are SUVs. So the SUVs require a little bit different of a maintenance schedule, and we do, because of the driving, we do front-end suspensions and things like that a little bit more often. So if you combine that being more often with the things we do with the change of the SUV, we're going to be spending more per vehicle in the maintenance realm.
Okay.
And of course, we also, there is padding in there. There's probably $1,500 worth of padding, because if we have a major event, I can't say we can't go down one vehicle, but we can't go without for very long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have extra vehicles that, just in case.
Right, and if there's an accident or anything, they have to pay the $1,000 deductible
Yeah.
from cruiser repair.
Right.
If there's any more questions, Mark, we'll wait till we get together.
Okay.
We can always call the chief back if you have any.
Okay.
Or send me an email or any of that. I want.
We have 5 more to go through, and I don't want to be here all night.
But I try and be as transparent as possible in the booklet. So maybe if you combine that with the booklet, it might answer some of it. But I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Pam.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Denise, you're up next. In the hot seat.
We're hot seat. All right. You all have a copy of my budget with splits.
Sharon? Welcome. Before Denise gets started, I would ask you, please, we're not talking about any expansions or anything, we're talking about a budget. That's all I want to hear, okay?
Okay.
Go.
So the draft budget includes a 3% pay increase. I have one. You have one?
Yeah, everybody has one.
So that will be the biggest increase to the budget. We'll be able to lower our ADP, bi-weekly fee. There's some rate increases with the postage for the PO box costs and permit licensing every year. There isn't a lot of increases. It's pretty flat, except for the 3% increase.
3% increase, that's what it looks like in the budget too, you know.
So,
There's no major, unless somebody else found something, I didn't see nothing major in their particular budget this year coming up. Anybody have any questions they want to ask Denise while she's here?
What's the, every year, what's the charge for the water?
it's like $9.10, and every so often it's like $18.
Say that again?
It's like $9.10 every
Oh,
month.
okay, I thought she said 19. You're on
I did too, I was like, what did I miss?
So we're on
Yeah,
fourth.
Faucet, that's
Toilets.
Right.
I have a comment, if I may.
Go ahead.
Denise was good enough to take some time spent with me last week, so I just wanted to publicly say thank you very much for
You're welcome.
everything. Because I didn't send you a thank you card.
Anybody have any questions? No? Nobody has questions? Bye. Thanks for coming. Denise, if anything comes up, we'll recall.
Definitely, yeah, yeah, if something comes up later, that's
All right.
She's like,
Yeah.
Next, Mr. Hayden. Building. Got a lot of questions for this guy.
what are we buying this year?
Nothing, no. Nothing. Listen, Paul, before you get started, I don't recall if I told the group about the little deal that you made, the town truck and everything, how much money you saved. Did we go over that?
Well, I found it.
Would you explain what you did with that money that we allotted for you last year for the new truck?
Well, I asked for 75,000. I actually found a 15, never been driven. Brand new, full package, with the dump bed, was 41,000. Just a truck alone with no bed was 50. So we got lucky, and it came in green.
Is it a local?
Yes.
Yeah.
And extra money goes into the general fund.
Yeah, it goes back into the general fund. I think you say something like, what, $30,000?
Well, right now with everything, with the plow,
Oh,
sander,
yeah.
and of course I put the lights on and stuff. We're, maybe 52,000, 53,000.
And how much were you allotted? 75?
Thank you, that's awesome.
Well, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Did very well.
Especially in the color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm driving down the road, I was at Jimmy's or something, and Paul says, I got to you right now. Why? He told me about that. I go, wow. So you're gonna have to tell the rest of the committee this, that's super. I mean, you saved the town a lot of money. So, okay, Paul, go ahead.
All right. Really, everything, me and Karen sat down, we took, like, everything to do with the transfer station is based on average. And of course, we're under contract, so all tip and fees we have no choice on. The biggest expense I asked for at the dump is replacing one of the buildings for $10,000. That is the shed that the recycling center guys work out of,
Okay.
which is our main shed.
Yep.
That was donated, I want to say in the 80s. It's just falling apart.
Yeah, it is.
So I would like to actually stick build one on site to match the building that we put up there and insulate it and try to save money on heating costs.
Yeah. And would that be concrete or wood?
No, wood, yeah.
What is the heating cost?
We can't answer that, it's electric.
It's electric. It's all part of the town.
I mean, I don't know how to break down the electric bill from all the equipment we have to take out the electric heaters.
Yeah, no, the power and lights is an average of about $3,000 a year. And that includes the electricity for the compactors and balers, as well as there's electric space heaters in the two buildings.
Yeah.
Which in the winter it pops up high, and the same thing in the summertime, there's two little air conditioners in each building.
I mean, we just can't give you an exact number.
Right.
Right.
I didn't realize it was runoff. Okay.
Yeah.
The heat was runoff.
Yeah, but it's $3,000 a year for all of the electricity there.
That's a lot of power up there running all that equipment.
You're asking for the shed under your budget.
Yes.
Yeah, it's under maintenance dump.
I mean, if you notice on page
Change that word to
47, I mean, all my numbers are down. I'm not asking for any equipment, so it's just, and we even lowered the maintenance. Of course, on the dump truck, it's brand new. So we don't, and that's under 5 years, 100,000 on a lot of it. So that should be a savings.
And these heaters are for the shed?
That's on hold as of now. Chip is looking into prices on that.
We haven't got any prices back yet.
So right now, that's on hold. These were 2 heaters for the guys out at the compactor.
Okay,
So right now, that's on hold.
okay. Waiting on it, you're waiting on an estimate.
Yeah. And Karen actually did a deal with a new street light, and if you guys notice, all our street lights are now LED. So
All except
our
one.
estimate is.
All except one.
Which one?
One across
The
from
one
my house.
across from
Oh, we
Yeah.
I'll leave that off forever.
Murphy's Law, if they're gonna miss one, that's it.
Yeah.
Just to, Karen, for your information, they left 2 in my shed.
Good.
Oh, well, we have, you can't climb up to do it. We
No,
need
I'm
someone
just
else
saying
to do
that
it.
that could be why we have 1 missing.
Right, well, and you'll see that on the street lighting.
Speed limit sign, it's special too, so.
Yeah.
Right. You'll see that on the street lighting account where typically it's been 17,000. The request I had put into the Board of Selectmen was 33,523, which was the electricity plus our cost of the transition. I was able to get a very large grant from Eversource, and which is going to be received just after January 1st to pay the bill. And the balance we were able to pay in 2017. So the selectmen reduced that line back to the 17.
And what is our return, 2 years, they said?
Yeah, just over 2 years. But the brighter lights, the comments, the positive comments from residents is well worth it.
And the Christmas lights, those are LED rated.
We have nothing to do with them.
We just pay the
No, that's a
electricity.
woman's club.
Oh, okay.
Thank Paul's wife.
Very nice. I enjoyed them very much.
All right.
And me, we gotta fix all.
I can't take any credit for that. How's that?
Take it.
Is there any questions?
They kept blowing fuses.
And of course, our fuel is gonna be changes, just like the police departments, we have no control over that. And I also went with a Wix card, and seems to be a lot easier for us than driving all the way to Northampton, which we can't anymore, but at least we can go to different places to get better price on fuel.
Ralph, you into this too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, problem with us
The whole
driving
town.
down here, we're getting 3 miles a gallon, you drive to Hampton and back and you
Yeah, well, I know. Pipe it in.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, where it really helps me is when I bring cans and stuff up north, I used to have to go Northampton, make sure I had a full tank, and go all the way up there every time because it was the only place I could get fuel.
Is that still feasible for us?
What's that?
Going to Harding's?
Oh, yes.
Is it?
Yeah. Every time I go up, I'm coming back with over $1,000. That's about every 6 weeks. We're doing a bale a week.
That's a lot of cans.
55,000.
What are you getting a ton?
Right now is 60
60
Really?
cents a
60
pound.
60 cents a
pounds. Yeah.
Wasn't bad.
And that's how often? Every 6 weeks?
Yeah, I do a bale a week.
Summertime, it boosts up.
Actually, it's heavy right now, football season.
Oh.
Super Bowl's a big one.
Right. Recycle those cans.
I do. I use the clubs.
I saw Kevin Rappin.
You said 61 cents a pound?
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah. Have you thought about getting, it's like from Uline for like $50 or?
We had one. They didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah. We actually put something, Kevin made up on a wooden stick, worked just as good.
All right. Yeah, 'cause I saw him doing it, I'm like, oh, he's gonna cut his hands off. All right.
I have two questions.
Yes, go ahead.
One under catch basins,
And what did you want?
page 46. Are we still, is it still a big bill to be paid for this year, for 2017?
No.
No.
So we spent no money there?
We just spent another $1,000 out of that. That's catch basins and stormwater management. Majority of it is stormwater management. We'll have one bill, an annual bill, but it's not a lot of money for the vacuuming of the catch basins. That will be taking place shortly. Stormwater management, EPA has been working on these new regulations for several years. We're still working right now off a 2008 permit, but the new permit has now been approved and takes effect July 1st of 18. So I've been carrying that money for the implementation of the new permit rules until it happened. And every year.
About how much money is that?
Well, one of the new regulations is we will have to sweep the streets in town twice a year.
And collect the dirt.
And measure it and analyze what kind of materials it is.
Are you kidding?
No.
It's an expense that Greenland is unnecessary. We don't even sand the roads. But it's an MS4 community and we have no option.
And do we have an estimate on what that cost is going to be to us?
Not yet. The $15,000 will include engineering to do our notice of intent to comply with the EPA.
Okay. And my next question is under line flushing.
Line flushing?
I mean drainage.
Oh, drainage, okay.
Which says line flushing, replacement catch basins. What happened in 2015? Does anybody remember? Because we spent a lot of money that year.
Yep.
And we didn't spend hardly any last year or the year before. Does anybody remember what that was?
Yep. It was a drainage culvert on
Bay Shore.
Bay Shore.
Yeah.
It was an emergency replace.
Yep.
So, if we don't have any emergency replaces, we could expect that line to be more like $3,000.
Yep.
But if we have an, okay.
And I mean, of course, we have no control over emergencies.
Exactly. Okay. That's my question. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody else have any questions? Anyone ask Paul? Everybody satisfied? Okay, thank you, Paul.
What you will notice in this department, just so I can point it out now while we're there, is the contract labor equipment roads just above that line. That's the snow plowing line.
Yeah.
It was reduced last year to $390,000. We ended up, if it doesn't snow in December, we have ended up at $442,000. We're overspent by $54,000. You'll see a lot of lines through general government and other places that aren't spent, because in March I knew we had a $54,000 deficit. So
It's not gonna snow in December.
I hope not, because
Except
there's
for on
not
the
too many.
25th.
Yeah,
There's not too many more lines that I can say we
Just a little
can't,
bit,
to cut
yeah.
back. But yeah, there was a lot of things that we had to push off and not do to make up for that $54,000.
Well, it's not going to snow in January, February, and March either.
I know. But don't cut that budget again.
The building, what's his name, Jim, is not here. He's got a flat budget anyway. But there was one question, Karen, I wanted to ask you
Okay,
about this letter.
yeah.
Is that going by the board?
Which letter do you have in your hand?
Jim
That says what?
requesting a 10%.
Yes, that went to the board went with a 3% like the rest of the
Rest of town.
town, and
Okay, right.
Mr. Marchese indicated in the memo to you that he was satisfied with what the board's actions
Okay, I
were.
just wanted to make sure everybody knows it. So that letter that's in your packet, okay, about the 10% raise, forget about it.
Right, all the backup materials, I'm putting budgets together, I copy for the board,
What do you say?
which is before the selectmen have that review.
Okay. All right, chief, come on down. We're not done yet, Paul.
No. Yeah. All right. I'll start with EMS budget. The only thing
Thank
that
you.
went up on EMS budget was the supplies, which was over needles for medics and the medications we have to have carry in the ambulance now. So more medic calls, so that's what the increase was on that.
And Narcan.
Oh yeah, Narcan's been a big thing, which we're doing more and more of.
So that's why you had the increase, huh?
Yep.
In Greenland?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had overdose right in our parking lot here that parked in front of the fire station where they came, where we had to administer Narcan in a parking lot.
Yeah, they drove from 95 to the fire station, and to the hospital. Don't know why.
Yeah, well,
So.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Any questions on EMS before we get into, nothing on EMS? Okay.
I asked you a question there about this.
The vest,
You intend to,
the vest are, we applied for this grant.
have you?
Yeah, it's $6,000. We have to expenditure the money, and we get it reimbursed of $6,000. Hopefully, we're gonna have, be able to have three sets.
Good.
Yeah.
Will that go in as a warrant article?
I'm sorry?
Will that go in as a warrant article?
No,
No.
because it's gonna be an in and out. The selectmen will vote to accept the grant
Right.
and authorize the expenditure. It's for 3 sets of warm zone, like SWAT team
Yeah.
coverage to protect the firefighters in
I am right
an
here.
incident.
Right, so it would have to be in the budget to expend it.
Not when it's a grant that we know that we've applied for.
Yeah.
The town adopted a warrant article many years ago to authorize the selectmen to expend after a public hearing.
And you'll see as those vests, as in that newspaper article was red, and that's the color of the Seacoast Chiefs we decided to do for the firefighters. So hopefully, first off, the bad guy will look towards the PD and not look towards us. And secondly, it gives the PDs to tell who has,
Right.
who they're trying to protect.
Just don't advertise,
They
just don't advertise the color to them.
What's that again?
Don't advertise the color to them.
Well, I understand.
Did you want to see that? Yeah.
So we should be hearing on that grant. We didn't make it last year. We just missed it, and the money, the application kind of stayed in. We just got notified that it's up again, and they got some more money on that. So
Yeah, it was submitted yesterday.
Yeah, it was resubmitted. Help of Chief Laurent.
That's good.
Yep, she did, I had her do all the legwork on finding where the vest really coming from, because she buys them every year, so I felt that was the best way to go. Now we get into the fire budget. As you can see, the first line item is 2 lieutenants full-time.
Yeah.
The reason we looked at this is, first off, I gotta get some help myself to patrolling my guys during the day, seeing I can't be here every hour of the day, seeing I do have a full-time job.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I looked at how to do this, and we also did the study, MRI.
Yeah.
And the study come back, and basically they were talking the same way we were leaning towards. 2 lieutenants would work 4 days on, 4 days off, so we'd have a lieutenant there all the time, full time. Then we used the per diem people to fill in the second people. This is just during the day, it'd be 12-hour shifts. Lieutenants would have more responsibilities of doing training, helping me taking care of payroll, getting payroll ready, just doing, setting up when the pump tests are going to be done for the trucks, just a lot of stuff that they can do, and also keeping track of the other people that are working with, and they can work on training, and people walking into the fire station is going to see the same 2 people all the time, instead of seeing different people every day. Plus the turnover won't be as bad either. We hired 2 lieutenants, hopefully they're gonna be there for the long haul. And the turnover won't be as bad like we have right now. The turnover's been real bad, I guess not real bad, but if someone can get a full-time job and we're offering 32 hours a week, they're out the door with benefits. We're not offering any benefits. So that's where the biggest increase went. In the fire side,
You said no benefits for these positions?
right now, there's gonna be benefits on the full-timers, yes.
Yeah.
There's no benefits on the part-timers right now.
Thanks.
Yep, and it's also saving us, rotation of buying fire gear. If someone comes in the different sizes, we can't hand it down, and to outfit somebody, in new fire gear, it's over $3,000 each set. So it's, we do get to keep them, but even at the end of 10 years, no matter if they get used or they don't get used, they're gonna be thrown away. So, other than that, the budget didn't go up much at all.
Except for the 3%.
What?
Except for the 3%.
We're gonna
3%.
move to the MRI.
Okay.
We should mention that so they read.
Fuel is the same problem we're having, as the rest of the town's having. Where we only have one station that's close to us, and that's the Sunoco. The TE does not take the WIPS cards at this point, so we just gotta run down to Sunoco, which is only half a mile, so that works out okay for us. That's working out fairly well, and it's, again, saving us money. If we have to drive to Hampton, it's just gonna cost us so many gallons to get back and forth. Time to get back to you down 3/4 of the tank, so now you're starting over again.
Yeah, and looking historically, I'm not even sure you have enough budgeted.
Right, well, see, and having a fuel budget is a crapshoot, because we don't know how many calls we're gonna do, we don't know what we're gonna end up. The only we do, if we go mutual aid to another town and it's a long period of time, they do come in and they'll fuel the truck for us. But you never know what's gonna happen, we don't know how many ambulance calls we're gonna have, we don't know how much, everything is. We don't do a lot of traveling the Concord. If we do 10 trips a year for classes, it's a lot, so it's tough to budget that, because we're not sure how many calls we're doing.
But if I had to look at all the lines and say where is there enough money, that would be probably one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have some questions, though.
Yep.
You're probably gonna get it with the public hearing, but I'll ask you first. You're talking about an individual working 4 days on, 4 days off. 8 to 8, 7 to 7 is?
Nope, 6 to 6.
6 to 6.
It's the same hours we're working now because the problem times have been between 6 and 8, trying to get people to stay. And right now, we do 6 to 6 during the day and 6 to 6 at night, because of, we're doing the standby pay, which is working out pretty well.
Well, and then what will happen between 6 in the evening and 6 in the morning? Will there be per diem coverage in the station, or will they be at home?
We give them standby pay of $7 an hour to either be 10 minutes from the station, or they have their opportunity to stay at the station.
Okay, and I was at the MRI meeting, and they discussed a couple of areas. One would be responsible for certain duties, and the other would be responsible for other duties.
Right. Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'm just bringing this up to you because you're probably going to get these questions asked. At other meetings. And
we've been working towards a stepping stone for 10 years anyways, and maybe it's been longer than that, working what we could do to keep on keeping people. Right now, I bet you we don't have 7 people that live in the town of Greenville.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Chip on I too.
Yeah, I know. Tommy Ma.
Yeah. Tommy's been hurt, but.
Yeah, I know. I got a question on the stipends. Okay, I don't know if everybody understands how this works. Could you explain to the?
We're down to only having 4 people on stipend. The people that is and some of the nighttime pay comes out of there. That's what we did last year. The stipend pay, I get stipend pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That may be the new.
My wife does put the bookwork for me, and she gets stipend pay of $4,900 a year to take care of taking care of payroll and stuff like that. And we have one dispatcher, they also get stipend pay, that's Mr. Hazard, who's been here since before I was born. So the stipends have gone down because of what we got going on here.
Because it's $64,000.
Right. You gotta take 20 that I get right there. And it got raised up because the selectmen offered to put in $15,000 more for myself.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Very generous.
I think as a result of the MRI meeting, it was very well discussed at the team that what the chief has done over the last several years by leaving his business and spending a lot of time in town is well deserving of an increase. In fact, that's probably a lot cheaper than we would get anybody else for the amount of work he does. So that's my comment to the committee.
Okay,
My
understandable.
observations.
Any questions, James? You
Um,
look puzzled.
yeah, well, so you guys do your own payroll, I didn't know that.
We get the payroll ready.
Gotcha.
I gotta turn in the hours every week and figure out if they did a call, because the call pay and the standby pay are two different pays. So I gotta go through the calls to figure out how many, if they come in and did 1 hour pay, go through the roster and make sure someone's not saying they did an hour and they didn't do an hour. I'm not saying they're dishonest, but, you know, there could be a 15-minute leeway here and there, and I don't,
Trust but verify.
I verify everything, every payroll. It takes 3 to 4 hours to do payroll every 2 weeks because of trying to do the timesheets, and hate to say it, I'm chasing some timesheets from some of the people that don't work during the day, if they just work at night.
There's gotta be a more efficient way to.
Well, we talked about this and talked about it, and it's tough to, we're also having trouble with our fire program, which we're gonna talk about, coming up, in the next year also. So hopefully the fire programs can also give us the time, so I can just print out a roster, who did the calls and how much time they spent on it. But you also gotta remember, if we do an ambulance call, and the ambulance call's an hour, it takes another half hour to 45 minutes to do the report for the hospital and for the state. So there's one person that you gotta.
One person gets more to leave, his
Person-
payroll is difficult, and part of it is because it's a lot of different people. You have the same number of calls, but you might have 30 different people that could work. And so we'll have a payroll from him with 30 people. One might make $12 that week, and someone else might have 4 hours. There's just lots of people for little amounts. Yeah.
And that's just
It's a
been,
nightmare.
that's the way it's been since, and we're trying to find a better way, and I think hopefully the fire reporting will help us with that a little bit. If we can get the different program, I'm looking into different programs that different departments are using.
Right, okay.
Will the two new lieutenants help just piece everything together
Yes,
better and not
Yes.
have maybe so many people needed?
Yes.
yeah. I don't discourage my call people not to come back, because I need them to come back on calls, so I don't discourage that. We need them to come back. If I say, oh, no, you can't come back unless it's a structure fire, no, I don't, we start that, we're gonna go back to the revolving door.
Right, but the on-duty person will make sure the paperwork is filled out before they leave, put your
Right.
slip here.
Hopefully the paperwork is gonna come to
smoothly.
the person who's doing the bookwork, the payroll that week, and it's gonna be a lot simpler than
Yeah.
3 hours. Maybe we could get it down to an hour, it would be very helpful.
When's the last time you had a major fire in town? That's what I thought.
We had one down towards Mackenzie's 2 years ago, we had Chips, 5 years ago? 6?
Something like that, 6.
Yeah, we've been very lucky, I shouldn't say lucky, I think we just educated a lot of people to smoke detectors and watch out for what they're doing. We're very careful on permits.
Do you have a a list of how many calls you made and what they were? Like EMT calls, fire calls? that
Well, I'm
sort of-
gonna, yeah, the EMS calls have been about 70% of our calls.
Okay.
Yeah, and this year we're up on calls, we're at 415 already this year. That's up quite a bit. And with, you know, because we're doing more ambulance calls, we're doing quite a few accidents also. Hate to say it, but I think the Winnicott Road lights have really made a mess.
No kidding, yeah. Blame the state for that.
Well, no,
Ambulance call,
yep,
you charge for that?
we get ambulance billing and that goes into an account. We use it as a revolving account. And if we need to buy something, which we're probably gonna have something coming up this year under a warrant article, we use that for that. And it's a big revolving account and it's gotta be voted on at town meeting or
Who handles the monies?
the,
Here?
The
yes,
treasurer.
yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I get a report, the money, we use, Comstar does our billing, and then as well as they do most of the Seacoast area of Comstar, and it's a real low percentage rate that they charge us, and they're very well, they do a lot of collections, and they, you know, they got time to chase, and that's their job. So we get checks from the insurance companies, and we just turn there, and we get a bill from Comstar, what's it, about 200?
Less than 3,000 a year.
Yeah. So that, it's not too bad, which we take out, that 3,000 comes out of the revolving fund.
And just so people know, how much do we get roughly in?
It's about 100 and, probably 110. It's gone up quite a bit since we have done some rate increases. And we're doing better with medics, because a regular basic call is like $500 or $600.
Wow.
You do a medic call, it goes up anywhere from 16 to 2,500. So that's the increase there.
That's how people tell us to get sick.
Well, again, we're not forced billed.
Yeah.
Whatever the insurance pays.
Whatever the insurance pays is what.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
If you don't have insurance, we do not force,
I do.
we don't force bill.
Yeah, okay. That's
So
good
we
to know.
double yours.
Huh?
That's why we do double yours.
Oh, okay.
Chief, could you speak a little bit about the training area?
Training areas, we gotta put this money in every year because people coming in, we gotta train them. If we gotta do firefighter 1, if they can become an EMT, there's so much that could go through this. We don't try to turn people down. We try to get them to get trained as quick as possible because we still call people at night. So I don't turn anybody down. And I've been using one town away. We'll take from one town away, we'll take Portsmouth, Rye, Northampton in a circle. And if they want to be trained and we can see that they have potential, I don't want people, and this is another conversation we've been having about making them sign something to give us a 2-year commitment. That's what all the volunteer departments have been used for years and years and years. Between Chipper and Don and myself, we've seen probably 25 people who just go to Portsmouth after they train.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the way we gotta keep it, but it's tough to know what they have. Plus in the EMS side, we have to do research.
I wonder if you could do like a non-compete type of agreement for them. Because essentially, like, they're going to like a.
Well, it's either non-compete or they pay us back. We'd have to figure out if they left within that certain amount of time that they would pay us back, or pay us back a percentage if we could go.
Do you know what the standard is in like other towns? Like, do other towns have contracts like that?
The only one I can think of is Hampton Falls does, right?
Hampton Falls, the person pays on their own,
Okay.
and as soon as they pass the test, they get reimbursed 100%.
But do they have an agreement that said like a non-compete?
Contract.
No, they understand as a volunteer department as well that they're a training ground. They ask them to commit to 1 year.
You can't guarantee that, and I'm not sure how it'd stand up in court either, so.
But you made an investment in them, so it makes sense. You get some of that money back if they leave, right?
Right, we'll try to anyway.
There is consideration, I know it's volunteer, but the training isn't free. I mean, it's
No.
your time and it's
Well,
your,
it's also their time, because we do not pay for people going to training, people coming to training.
Yeah.
If we train in the station and it's an approved training for the fire department, we give them their hourly rate. But if they go out and they wanna take their firefighter one, right now, we've been paying for their firefighter one, and they commit all their hours for free.
How many hours is it?
No, it's, what's it, 120 hours.
120, I think.
Paramedic program is 18 months. We've been pretty lucky that the military's, I got 2 guys in the military that are going through medic school right now, and it's not costing us one dime.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and my comment is on training. The training expenditures over the last 3 years have gone down, down, down. Understand if we have people coming in, we want to have the money to train them.
Right.
But what leads us to believe we're going to have that many more all of a sudden come in this year?
We don't know.
No, we don't know, but I mean, historically, it's been going down.
Right, it's going down because I think, and it comes back to the volunteers are going down.
Right.
What do we have right now, bro?
Approximately total, including everybody paid, 23, 24.
Wow.
We've dropped quite a bit, and like I said before, that there's not many that live in the town of Greenland.
Yeah. But again, comment that if you put in money for training, it's available. If you don't use it, it goes back into the unfunded balance, so it can be used to offset the tax bill of the next year.
We don't lose it.
Okay? I don't believe that any department head is going to use money scheduled for training for something else and get caught at it.
Unless we run into a big expenditure that.
Right, but then that requires you to go to the Board of Selectmen to get permission to do that, and then they justify back to the town or this board as to why the money was expended. But, we sit here, we talk about all the little things in anticipation, like he asked the question, how many fire calls have we had? How many are we gonna have next week?
Don't know.
We don't have that answer, so I think we as a budget committee would probably be looking at this in a realistic way, that he's saying that this is possibly what he'll need for training. If he doesn't need it, it comes back to us. If he needs it, it's available, and he doesn't have to go looking for money someplace else in his budget to cover it, because he was fortunate enough to get 2 or 3 people that moved to town and said, gee, I'd like to get involved with the fire service, but my opinion. So.
The other problem I'm having right now is fire gear that we got under a grant is coming up on the 10 years. And I found another 2 or 3 sets of gear that I gotta replace. We try to do 3 or 4 a year. I'm running into a tight situation going right now, and to order fire gear, I order fire gear today, I don't get it till February.
I know.
Which is, and that's just the way the fire gear is going, and it's just, there's so many departments, it's a revolving deal. I can remember years and years and years ago, wouldn't matter what we wore, right? It wouldn't matter how many years, it could be 25, 30 years old.
And that's under replacement equipment?
Yes, and, again, I'm having a problem at this point, and that's, I didn't realize, I thought it was going into the next year situation, but we're working on it right now.
What's your estimate? What do you think it needs?
Oh, we're probably about $6,000 off on that.
Okay.
Any large equipment you're gonna replace?
Looking at, on a warrant article on air packs.
Oh, that's a warrant article.
Well, it is a warrant article, so you don't want to talk about it right now. I'll shut up.
Now, don't take offense to this line of questioning, but didn't you ask for a stipend last year and were granted a stipend for 10? Was it 10,000?
Yes, I did not ask for the stipend that's coming up now.
Okay.
Somebody knows.
Okay. All right. Yeah, like I said, don't take offense.
No offense.
I recall that last year, so.
Any questions from anybody else?
And I also use my own vehicle.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
For everything in town.
We need money in here for recruiting.
Do you know, you never asked for reimbursement for mileage for fuel, using your own vehicle?
Years and years ago, I come to the selectmen and I get one tank of fuel a month. And that comes in through the fuel anyways, and that goes back 10 years ago.
Yeah, please.
And you've used far more than one tank
Me?
a month.
Yeah, here, yes and no, matter what we're doing. There could be months that I don't, and, it works out.
Okay.
I put a lot more miles on, but
Yep.
I don't, I go to meetings, I go to Concord, I go to Seco Chiefs meetings every month, and, that's a great group. I think everybody knows about that.
And you don't get reimbursed for mileage on that?
No, I do not.
Well, when you have more money than you know what to do with, I mean,
Took the word out of my mouth.
Ships come more.
How many miles do you think you put on a year from the town, or a month, any way you can extrapolate that?
I do not even know. I never even, and if that come up, I'd rather just take the fuel, because the time I try to figure that out, it's more 4 hours I don't have.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Ralph.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Mrs. Anderson.
Bob, I gotta tell you, you're doing pretty well time-wise.
I'm trying.
Don't encourage it.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here.
Bad juju. It's bad juju.
Sharon, because we're doing so well, I'm gonna give you a half an hour.
I'll take what I need. What I will point out in your budget books to start with, in addition to the annual transmittal letter, there's, the next sheet has significant changes from 17 to 18 in the budget. So what I've done is anything that was more than a huge difference, it's outlined here. What it was in 17, what it is in 18, with a simple explanation, just a couple words. Then way
Yeah.
before the
I'm getting the general.
next, no.
Next one,
I have a quick question before we start, if you don't mind.
Okay.
This 3% across the board salary increase, is this law? Is this just, I know it's a standard of, cost of living?
Right.
Wage
Board of
increase?
Selectmen determines wages.
It is, I think from what I've been reading, the direction that is what's acceptable going forward this year for most companies and businesses.
Yeah, and there's a survey done every year with the managers, and I would think that between 2 to 3 has been the standard this year.
Because I saw 2.37%, I see you did 3%, and I don't, who's coming up with this number, that's all.
The selectmen.
Look at John and I, we got 2%, we gotta give it back to Medicare, for God's sakes.
I've provided you with the tax rate breakdown sheets that outlines the 2017 tax rate, which obviously we just got bills, it went down 1 penny. We tried to keep a flat tax rate. Town is in very good shape right now with undesignated fund balance, which we'll probably continue to use to boost up some of our savings for capital costs. So the selectmen opted to use $85,000 from undesignated fund balance to keep a flat tax rate.
Help us out here, right, yeah?
So this way. Before you got to general budget.
Before.
And then also after the list of all the changes, there is the default budget.
Was that one of those before the tax or 104?
The default budget, right, the default budget is just before wages and benefits. Collating, they may all get to, no, it's at the very beginning.
Karen, I was just trying to think of the increase you have here, 279.
What do you want? Yeah, okay.
The main increase that you're asking.
Yep, because middle.
I just, I was just wondering how do I tie that back to the budget items? Because I would expect the variance to be 279, right? The final variance, the total variance on page 3.
No, because there's lots of lines that went down.
Got it.
Someone up, someone down.
Got it, thank
So
you.
you really can't tie the exact number.
Better help Pat.
And what you're looking at now is what the board of selectmen have recommended. Am I passing?
Yeah, sorry, I'm lost.
Right.
So, if you're saying the whole budget
I even
increased
had
by
March.
279, shouldn't I see an increase somewhere of 279?
Well, it says 254, 389. And let's see what it is. It's, yeah, 283,097 at this point. Yeah, it's changes after through the budget committee, through the board of selectmen's review. And then there was a couple others that came through later. The library had a change that was put in.
Oh, so I have a dated vote?
Some degree. We all have
Yes,
that.
because two of those changes were just announced to you last night, and I got them last week. These budgets were prepared a month ago.
Did I miss a meeting last night?
No, so that the budget committee, I prepared the budget a month before the first meeting, so you have plenty of review time.
Right.
Things have changed in that last.
Oh, thank you, that explains it.
Yeah. Just like your meeting the other night, you made changes.
Yeah, we just got them in
Yeah,
today.
we haven't seen those yet.
Oh,
All right,
Go.
we'll just start with general government.
General.
All that backup information is there for you, you can review it at your leisure. The formula is in there to determine impacts to the tax rate. There are no significant changes through general government, really at all. It's a 3% increase. You'll see lines that aren't spent, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
I knew I was already $54,000 deficit for snow. And the only budget I have any control of making savings in is through general government. That's where we do it. I made reductions to general legal. That were, and this is basically the board of selectmen made reductions.
Yeah.
We reduced that from 25,000 to 20,000 because we now have it warrant article for appropriate legal matters.
Yeah.
That's a non-lapsing, so I have some funds available there. The assessing you'll see is a big increase, which is page 13. And on 12, assessing tax billing,
Yeah.
that's the biggest increase in the entire budget. That is because 2018 is our DRA required statistical update of all property values.
Oh,
So the residential statistical update is $23,000. These were all put out to bid. And then the commercial statistical update is $13,000. And we were required to do that. The increase on personnel administration, you'll see, is New Hampshire retirement. This is the full year of the increase. It took effect July 1st of last year, the increase, so this year shows 100% of that higher rate. You'll also see increases in the New Hampshire retirement for the Group 2, that includes the 2 fire people
oh, yeah.
and the additional police
The
officer.
boss, yeah.
And then in Group 1, it's not increased because the secretary that was made full-time was already on New Hampshire retirement.
How much did the health insurance go up?
The health insurance decreased 6.9%.
Super, super. That's the only one I've heard so far.
The only good news.
Oh, God, all the ones I'm contacting, the people that I have, they're going out 25, 35, 40%.
Right.
Unbelievable.
We're self-rated, we had a very good experience rating.
That helps. Yeah, that helps for the group. Good.
And we don't offer, there was a higher plan, a more expensive
Yeah.
plan that had an increase, but we don't offer that to our employees.
So the employees are paying their own deductibles, correct?
What?
The employees are paying their own deductibles?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Now they
What the
have.
selectmen have done is, there is one high deductible plan available, it's a Luminos 2500, which is half the cost of the point of service plans that we have that are $10 and $20 co-pays.
Yeah.
If an employee chooses that, the town pays 100% of that plan. And they pay their $2,500.
Up front.
We have no employee that chose that. Well, actually, we will have one employee paying the whole thing
on their own expense.
Okay.
Because they are allowed, if they don't qualify for insurance, to go on the town plan at 100% their own cost.
Okay, that's a nice option.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a great option, yeah.
There's any other big things to point out?
Anybody got any questions?
I have a question on page 12, under assessing tax rate. So why, for 2 years, have we been so much, the expenditure has been so much under the budget?
That will not be under budget, well, it'll be pretty close to budget for 2017.
Yeah.
Every year we do 20% of the town for a statistical update, which is required, so that when we do a reval, we don't have to go out and measure every single 100% of the houses. We do 20% a year, and so then this revaluation is just statistical as well as a computer. So right now, we have a contractor out there doing 20% of the town, right now doing those updates. They've been out in the Portsmouth Ave, did you see one?
Yes, Kate might do it
Portsmouth
yesterday.
Ave, Hillside Meadow, McShane, that whole section is being done right now.
Double
Did
the
you see one
value.
too? Yeah, that bill isn't in yet, but we pay $15 per property. That's statistical update, so they'll be out doing about 400 properties in the next 2 weeks.
And that's this group here?
No, that's, probably the page before, that says Granite Hill Municipal Services, these guys. Yeah, and so what they're doing right now is the cyclical, it's $26 per parcel. And if it's the vacant land, it's $750. Yeah. That's it, that's what they're doing right now.
Is that bond for the police department?
What?
The bond that we have outstanding? The bond?
No, that is for Dearborn Road and Castle Drive. That's the only town debt right now for us. It's at 800,000, it's down to like 7, but the bond schedule is in there for you.
Sorry, what was that for? I don't.
Dearborn Road
Just
and
new
Castle
roads.
Drive.
Reconstruction.
Oh, reconstruction of the roads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of roads, I hate to get off topic here, I noticed that under Public Works for Paul, $200,000, I mentioned $143,000 for, what road, Portsmouth Ave? Portsmouth Ave and Tuttle Lane.
Yep.
What is that? What is that?
Tuttle Lane actually was able to get moved up into this year.
Okay.
It was just recently done, so that 75 will be designated to the next street on our list. We had Underwood Engineers last fall do an entire road survey, and so they have programmed out when every street's going to be done and how much money it would cost. So pavement prices came in lower than what they had estimated on that report. They based it on a statistical average for paving costs. Prices came down, we were able to slide Tuttle Ave into this year, and we'll further down the list next year.
Where does Willowbrook, it's Willowbrook,
Willowbrook,
right? Where does that fall into this? 'Cause I
That
thought
was the warrant article last year.
Right.
The pre-bid meeting was yesterday. There was some delays, so that project is being partnered with Great Bay Drive West. And by partnering the projects together like we did Dearborn and Castle, we pay less in advertising for the bids, the engineer has less mobilization.
Sure.
We try to get
Cost
one
average.
contractor because we get a better price because they get more work all at once.
Yep.
So there was some delays with some permitting processes actually on both of them. Willowbrook, we're still don't have a wetlands permit as yet because there's a culvert that needs to be replaced.
Right.
So we're working with DES on round culvert versus square culvert.
Okay.
But that pre-bid meeting was yesterday. There were 7 bidders present, 3 others have taken out the plans, and those bids will be due back like December 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But financially, that money's all been appropriated.
We hope. Obviously, it depends on what those bid results come in looking like, but we do have a special capital reserve fund for maintenance of roads.
But I think what I'm trying to say is, in case you didn't, it won't be coming out of this budget.
Right.
No.
No, I just saw that the $25,000 increase in the maintenance of roads, so.
The selectmen decided to just round it up to a round number. Last year, we had the smaller number, the 174, and then we had a separate warrant article for 300,000
Yep.
for roads.
Yep.
I don't anticipate that will be as large this coming year.
Yep.
And so if we keep at least the 200, we'll maybe catch up.
Okay,
We'll try.
okay. All right, sorry to get off topic.
That's okay. So are there any other general government things?
Is longevity bonus to general government then?
Yes, it is.
Well, if you look at the addendum, those numbers don't add up to what's being asked for in the budget. Is there a reason for that?
This is the 2017 list. And the 2017 list, we had asked for 11,250. That was just paid in the last payroll, so that came to Sergeant Sawyer. Was not, she didn't leave in time.
No.
She had anticipated being gone, so she wasn't included in this, but she is a $1,500. But for 2018, see, do we add anyone else in? For 18, none of these hit 15. Young might hit the 1,500 a year. I would anticipate.
If anybody, Dave.
Open next year, 1, 2, 4. Should be 7,250. I put 7,500, but I estimated that it would be 7,250.
And is that because somebody else is coming on and other people are bumping up?
One is bumping up. Officer Young will have hit his time to bump up.
Okay.
It's reduced from the prior year because Carol Smith left and Dawn Sawyer is leaving, so she wasn't on this list. She's not on this list, but she received it for 17, and she was a 1,500.
So, from what you explained to me, more people left than we're adding or bumping up.
It starts at 10 years to start at 5. So
Right, starts
So
at
if I
10. This
take
is the first year that the town clerk qualified. She started her 10th year.
I understand, but if I add up the numbers on the addendum, it comes to $5,750.
Where?
The addendum that says, it's after page 24.
Right,
There's a bunch of addendum.
that's the 2017.
I understand.
Okay.
So if you add up Karen Anderson, Liz Cummings, if you add all those up, you add another $500 for Wayne Young, that would put us to $6,200. Where's the other $1,000, where's the other money coming from?
I'm not coming up with the same number. Yeah. I'm not coming up with the same number.
Sorry, 5 times 750. $3,750. You add $2,000 to that, that's $5,750.
Right, and then, okay,
And you bump
5750,
up
then add another 500.
Add another 500.
That's 42. 62.
Okay, 6250 instead of
62, right,
7250.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay? Yep. Okay.
And just, Karen, in the interest of time, what would be the best time for me to bother you during a day?
None.
Any day but a Monday.
Okay.
Mondays is straight out
And I can
selectmen prep.
I can pre-request it, so I can just call and say, hey, when this week do you think you might?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just Mondays are usually out of the question.
Okay, yep.
How was the budget last year? Were you over, under budget?
Right now, I actually looked at that a couple of days ago. We are under budget. by about $36,000, which is very low. Right now, I have 113 that I expect that will remain unspent. And then when I factor, because I went through all the lines and said, yeah, that's not gonna happen this year, that's not gonna happen. And then I have put in the lines that are over. And so there's about, I expect 36 to maybe 40,000 that won't be spent at all.
Will that go back to the general fund
It
or?
will. Yeah, along with any revenue that comes in over anticipated.
Now Pat tried to explain this to me, but you have like a retained account like we do? Do you
No,
have?
we have what's called an unassigned fund balance, like you do. That's the only one we're allowed to have.
Is it but do you have like a trust though, or, because I'm just wondering, do you have funds available to you in the event of an emergency or an overage?
Yes, we could request Superior Court or DRA to allow us to go into the undesignated fund balance for a verified emergency.
How much is in there today?
Today, 2.2 million.
2.2 million? Wish we had that problem.
Right. Well, what the selectmen do is, like last year, it was right around the same level. They put 530,000, I believe, in various capital reserve accounts. Those were all the warrant articles to add, 50 to the transfer station materials, all the various accounts that we have as savings for capital improvements, that those were all from that undesignated fund balance. And then they used 85,000 to keep it as a flat rate, keep the tax rate flat.
How much did you use this year for the tax rate?
85,000.
85,000, okay.
Excuse me, Bob, can I interrupt?
Go ahead.
I have to leave, but
Go ahead.
since Sharon's here, that means we still have a quorum. Is that okay if I go?
Yes, you can. You have your next meeting?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And here's the school budget over here.
Yeah, give her a school budget. will ya? Yes, sir.
Actually, why don't you give them to all of us? Come on.
Not done yet. Not done yet.
So we kind of like it up to date, Bob.
Happy reading, yeah.
So the only other area that I have, if there aren't any other general fund questions, is health and human services,
Oh, yeah.
which is flat. It'll show a small increase for the health agencies of $500 because Seacoast Family Promise was a warrant article the prior year. So that becomes into the budget.
Okay.
One agency requested an increase, which is the Richmond Fallon Children's Center.
Yeah.
At 2,100, they requested an increase to 3,900 based on the fact that they served 13 families in 2017.
The money's being well spent, as far as I'm concerned.
Welfare assistance is overspent now. As of 10/16, it was at 18,440 out of 18,802. It has been a tough year for some rental assistance. So that will be overspent by about $2,000. But with the property tax rate going down a penny, the deferral money will only hit like 22, so I'll be fine.
How many people are we talking here? Assistance?
Throughout 2017,
Yeah.
probably 10 different, for different reasons. Some are ongoing, some are one-time assistance. But this year it's primarily been rent or utilities.
Yeah.
And we actually did we had a funeral too, under the other miscellaneous.
Really?
Yeah, we spent $1,240 because it was a resident that was declared to be a Greenland resident that lived at Fairweather Lodge that passed away and was indigent. So the town was responsible for minimal burial cost of $750.
Anybody have any other questions? No questions? Thank you very much, Karen.
Oh, did you want to look at recreation and culture?
Well, I was just gonna say that too. There it is, right there. Okay.
Okay.
I only have one sheet, but anyway.
Get 10 minutes, get 10 minutes.
You got 10 minutes, go.
Okay. The biggest change in recreation is for equipment permanent. They requested $12,000 because they want to do new fencing at the Maloney Field. We generally try to keep $10,000 as an ongoing capital improvement in the budget for recreation facilities. Last year, $10,000 was approved for a York Harley rake that has not been purchased at this point. In 2018, it's going to be rented once or twice to see if it really meets our needs, and then
Costs more to rent it than it does to buy it.
not $10,000 to rent it, once or twice.
Well, you use it 3 or 4 times. How much does it cost to rent it?
They want to rent it to try.
I don't have, those are numbers that.
It's under $500 a day to rent it.
Is it really?
And we can only come up with 2 days of work, so.
Okay.
So
There-
that's
there's
on
some
hold.
restrictions that came about.
To see how well it could work for the town. So that has not been spent. What they've requested next year through the rec committee is fencing for Maloney Field. And then under patriotic purposes, going over 2 pages, just beyond library, there's a new line there where we fund the Memorial Day, but now we've added a line in 300th celebration. There's $3,000 in that line to start funds to plan the 300th celebration for Greenland, which is scheduled for 2021.
So I have a question on that. So that's 3 to 4 years down the road. Are we anticipating spending $3,000 for the next 3 to 4 years for the total? And do we have any kind of a plan for what that money's going to be?
I haven't attended the meetings. There is a committee that is working on the whole funding. Jim is the chairman, so he can speak on it.
We just, we're in the very preliminary stages, but we did have the Stratum, who just had their 300. They ended up spending about $168,000. But they actually took in and made $15,000 or $20,000 on it. It's not quite the plan I envisioned. The rest of the committee.
Well, CPI was a fool when I was doing this, huh?
But we're going to have some revenue coming in. We'll be selling clothing with the logo and, doodads and that type of stuff.
How about a coin, Jim?
Maybe. They don't go over as much as they used to.
Well, okay.
I did one for
I did too.
back in 1976.
Yeah.
Right. I think this initial funding is banners.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get the banners. I'm sure you've been up through Stratum and seen their things. We have the light poles that would take those, so we're gonna probably get some preliminary out there to let people be aware that there is gonna be an anniversary celebration.
Where are you holding it? At Crasco Field?
That's what I'm saying.
We haven't quite determined the venue yet, but
So you're really preliminary at this point.
Yeah.
So $3,000 is just kind of seed money to see where you want to go. Okay.
To get things rolling, it's probably more to be able to take money in and spend it until we're trying to do it. We will make permission to do that.
Have you guys thought of like a fundraiser or something?
we haven't get to that point.
Gotcha.
Yet. We just started a couple months ago.
They're just getting people.
He just recovered from the $100 and some thousand Travis spent, okay?
GoFundMe.com.
But we certainly will be pursuing some of our businesses in town and appealing to their generosity.
Good luck.
We haven't done that yet.
One question on this, Jeremy. Remembrance Park, any maintenance done on that is part of the town budget?
Yes, it is.
Paul's budget.
All these where it has park maintenance and for parks, we've got the groundskeeping, that includes all of the town parks, Ralston Park, the gazebo, the bandstand area, all of the different fields.
Okay, any additions to the monuments are all paid for also by the town?
Yeah. Yes, and those are gonna be done every few years around Veterans Day to add in the names.
And can you speak to the part-time labor under culture and recreation budget?
Yep, that's the part-time person that assists Paul with field maintenance.
Right.
It's no increase in hours being requested this year. He's been working 20 hours a week for the 27 weeks in 2017, and that's worked well. And the increase is to go from $12 an hour to $15 an hour.
Right, but we haven't used that number of hours.
Yeah,
Last.
we're getting pretty close to it, yes.
Okay.
He had a late start,
So
that's
we-
part of
yeah,
the problem.
Okay, so we anticipate that's gonna be about.
Pretty darn close.
Okay,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, because that's through October 16th, and they were very busy through the end of October into November with leaves. They've been cleaning up all the leaves, and he'll be done as soon as snow flies.
Your half hour's up.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
always here if anyone has
Thank
any
you very much,
questions.
Beth.
Thank you, thank you. A lot of hard work.
Okay, you have some paraphernalia here that I passed out to look at. The next meeting is gonna be next Wednesday at 6:30. We're gonna be doing the school budget. We'll get your books tonight before we leave, so you can look them over and see what you wanna cut.
Do we put head goalie of the dart team on that one?
Yeah.
Should we bring these with us to put?
No, leave those right here.
Okay.
Just leave those there, they'll be taken care of. Anybody have any business they wanna bring up?
I have a question on that.
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
see that schedule again?
Yes, you can.
It shows, review the town budget, which we did tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna review the proposed school budget. Then we're gonna meet again and review the town budget with recommendations.
Right, on the 14th.
When do we review the school budget with recommendations? I don't see that on the schedule as a separate item.
Usually that's a separate day.
Final review. Okay, for both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, normally we listen to the budget and then we come back at another meeting and then go through the budget individually by line item and make decisions amongst the board. So is there, I don't know, maybe Karen?
Karen, can you?
There might be there's a meeting missing on this schedule.
All right, I can review it in the morning.
It says review of the
Oh,
town
sorry,
budget,
Karen.
but there's no review of the school budget separately. Is that?
December 6th, review school, post public hearing, review, final review of school, and then review town and school again for final recommendations.
Is that a different?
See, tonight we're doing.
January 17th is the final review, right after the public hearing. Yeah, it looks like they budgeted 2 reviews for the town, 2 reviews for school.
Well, they didn't do 2 reviews for the school. They did 2 for the town. Tonight for the town, and then there's a meeting.
Wednesday for the school.
Oh, 2, yep,
And then after that is a final review for the town,
Correct,
and
yep.
there's no final review for the school.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you might need another meeting.
Well.
All depends, doesn't it?
Well, let us know.
You can finish us up in one and take one of our dates.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Just kidding.
No, I'm serious.
Is it something we can add on to the 12-14 meeting?
I don't know.
We only had 2 meetings last year. I recall only 2 meetings.
Right, I think that's traditionally the school you've done much quicker.
We'll take a look at it this week and we'll send you an email on decision. Okay? Would you pass these out, please?
Yeah, and there's a lot here. If you want any questions prior would be appreciated. So we can have a good meeting the next time we meet on Wednesday.
Who's the best person to send any questions?
Amy and CC me, please. That'd be great. Amy Ransom.
She's down.
A Ransom. See.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. There you go. There you go. All right. Does everyone have one? Yes, we do.
Could you leave Steve McKenzie's here and he'll.
Oh, yeah, he's Steve McKenzie's here.
Yeah, okay.
Tippy got his, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
I don't know. Friend or foe, I don't know.
Come on. I'll make sure he's here.
Is anyone missing?
Are you going anywhere?
Maybe this was for me.
Did she, she did grab one.
We're not missing anyone, right, tonight? Everyone's
Just,
here?
just Steve.
Karen, you want one?
Okay.
You have one for Steve?
Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah, Steve's is over there.
Yeah, legitimately, I've got plenty.
Okay.
You done with it?
I guess we're all done.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
We're all done? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Making a motion?
Yeah, motion, move to adjourn.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay, second. Okay, and meeting adjourned at 8:30. Good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have to take a vote.